Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday comic book preview stream. I know I'm excited to be here. We didn't do one last week, and I have to apologize for that. It was a really busy week with Free Comic Book Day was last weekend, as you know, and I also had to take that Tuesday night off. I was a part of a Marvel contest, a trivia contest.
Lame.
Well,
Comic streams are way cooler.
comic streams are pretty cool, and I have a lot of fun doing this. But all I can say in my defense is we did win, and
You better have.
we did win.
Yeah.
So I did totally win a bar trivia contest for Marvel with my Marvel knowledge, and the
Nice.
team. I was one of 7 people, so it was a pretty solid team. Yeah. So if you got any Marvel questions, as long as they're not about the movies, I'm not going to be able to answer those at all.
Yeah, just the comics.
Just the comics.
Yeah.
But speaking of the comics and history and Marvel, I always like to start with facsimiles.
Yay!
And at this point, it should be just expected. But Marvel's reprinting their Secret Wars, so this is the month that the new issue of Secret Wars comes out, number 5. Don't have a lot to say about it because, as I've said before, I enjoyed reading this comic in this way that I enjoyed reading older comics, but I actually don't think it's that good of a comic book series.
See, that's what I find with a lot of the old ones. Like, I can appreciate it, but they didn't have to try as hard with their writing. It's not as much was out at the time.
Well,
At least in my opinion.
I disagree. I just think that this one's just it's the concept is very basic. It's just we have to have a big crossover and we have to have all of our popular comics or popular characters in the comic book series so that we can sell toys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. They made them all fight, and as comics for kids, it is good enough, I guess is the way I would put it.
Good enough.
It's good
got
enough.
all your favorite characters.
Yeah, exactly. It's got
Yeah.
Spider-Man, it's got the X-Men, it's got Captain America, it's got the Hulk, it's got everybody. But another facsimile. There's actually several facsimiles.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
I thought there was only 2.
No, there's 3.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to the second one first that I know you want to talk about, and then we'll save the mystery third one. This one we talked about the first issue when it came out, Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I love this movie, and so it's kind of neat that Archaea is reprinting the old Marvel comic book series. Cool art by Big John Buscema, and it's just a retelling of the movie, but it's kind of neat just seeing.
I like seeing it in comic book form.
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing how everything is drawn. I also think it's really interesting how the whole movie, it's condensed down into just 3 issues. So this is issue number 2. And then the last one's going to be the final one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, here we are, issue number 2, and she's already at the helping hands.
Yeah.
And
then the doors, one tells the truth, one tells a lie.
those goofballs.
Yeah.
And Ludo. Yeah. This is like the neat thing about these, and I don't remember if we talked about it when issue 1 came out, but you got to remember, like, the 80s were a very, very different time, and so you would have popular movies, but they were literally only in theaters. That's the only way you could see them. There was no streaming. There was barely even like home video, like VHS. So in the 70s and 80s, what they would do is you'd make this comic book adaptation, which is just retelling the story of the movie, and that is a way that like kids or readers could revisit the story, because you couldn't just pull off your Blu-ray or pull up the streaming and just
Dark
pop on the movie.
What?
Some simpler, but some might say better in different ways.
They had to have been put out on like VHS tapes.
I mean, VHS was becoming a thing, but like not everybody. 1984 when this comic book series came out, the Labyrinth adaptation. I don't remember exactly when, but yeah, like they wouldn't have been like super common. They would have been really expensive too. Like a home video streaming is way cheaper now than buying like a VCR in the 80s.
But I guess that makes sense because my childhood growing up, we had a lot of VHS tapes, and so mostly Disney. Now that I think about it, but yeah. So I guess in the 80s, that makes sense for
the before times, the dark times. But yeah, so it's kind of neat seeing this too. Just like remembering these types of context or these types of comics in that context. Yeah,
I do think that the Goblin King could have been drawn a little bit better.
David Bowie.
Bowie.
Bowie, however it's pronounced. David,
But,
what's his name? What's his real name?
could have been drawn just a
Just
little,
a little
bit
bit
better.
better. He's a little weird looking. There's this,
No.
there's a certain something lacking to it. That's
Yeah,
all. That's all we'll
just a certain
say.
something.
Susie
Other than
says,
that, beautiful.
never forget waiting until 2 to 3 a.m. to tape the Rurouni Kenshin movie airing on TV. Yeah. All right.
Oh, that just brought back so many memories. I forgot you had to tape stuff.
You used
I
to have
do
to
remember
tape
doing
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh my
had
god.
I had a whole collection of blank VHS tapes that were just like cartoons or anime or TV series that I would tape off like the Sci-Fi Channel or Comedy Central or whatever.
Yeah.
A certain something.
Something.
That's correct. All right. The third facsimile, Our Army at War, featuring The Rock of Easy Co. This was back in the 60s. Now you see, Celeste, war comics used to be really popular. And
I'll bet.
the most, Vietnam was very popular back in the 60s and 70s. No, this was before public opinion had turned on that, but war comics were very popular. And this was actually 1959 when this issue first came out. This is the first appearance, I believe it's the first appearance of Easy Co. It's not technically the first appearance of Sergeant Rock, but it's an appearance of a character that would become Sergeant Rock, who is like the most famous, I would say is the most famous like comic book army soldier character.
Wait, are those little army green men?
No, that's just comic book art, but it could be interpreted like that. But yeah, this is just like classic, like old tough guys fighting Nazis. Like the Nazis are all like really bad villains, and they're just mowing them down. It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie, but for kids. It's great. Yeah,
would you consider this propaganda?
I mean, a lot of people did at the time. Like it certainly is just like, but it's also, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a weird like double nature to something like that, like something like this, where it easily could be seen as propaganda. It's celebrating war. It's celebrating heroes that are soldiers, but also it is celebrating just the types of people that have to do that whether they want to or not, and just ideas of heroism. That's, I think, intrinsic to everybody. Like it's not, I don't know. I don't want to wax philosophical about it for too long, but these are cool comics. They're really gritty. This is the character of Sergeant Rock was created by Joe Kubert, who's one of the just like he's on the Mount Rushmore of comic book artists. Like he's just one of the main, most important guys. But this story itself, I don't know if he actually has art in this. This looks a little bit like his art. I saw somewhere that the main story was it's actually illustrated by Ross Andru, who would go on to have a very long and memorable stint on the Amazing Spider-Man in the 70s after John Romita. Wow. So yeah, really cool. I like these old comics. The war comics especially are really neat. It is interesting seeing something that is for kids, but from a different era, like literally, 1959, like over 50 years, 60 years ago. And it's like they don't hold back on. Well, I don't know. It's like they don't hold back, but they kind of do because they make it seem glamorous.
Those were the times, man.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to something that's much more important.
Yes, I agree.
I wasn't actually going to talk about this, but Celeste begged me to, and so here we are. There's something new in the store. This comic book is called The Amoral Stingray. It's the new =1. And then there's a little asterisk that says actually it's the 5th issue. This is my new comic book. Hello, my name is Aaron. I write and self-publish comic books. I didn't draw this, so that's a question that everybody asks. I work with much better artists. The artist on this is a friend of mine named Chris McJunkin. And this is, Amoral Stingray, yay! Nice. This is, I guess I'll just give you the quick pitch. This is my take on teenage superhero, but the kid, like the social outcast kid who gets superpowers, instead of becoming a hero, he decides he wants to become a villain. And he discovers very quickly that being a villain is not easy. Because you're constantly getting beat up by heroes. Like they're wailing on you and stopping you from doing what you want.
I was talking to Mel just the other day. She was like, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And I'm like, teleportation. And I absolutely would start robbing people. I would
Right.
rob a bank. Let's
Yeah,
be real.
it would be so easy.
Yeah, like I would also like steal from the rich, give it to the poor. I'd be a nice little Robin Hood, but I'd be a villain. Let's be real.
I think that's kind of what the comic book is about. It's like I don't want to say it's like a realistic take on superheroes because that's not what it is. It's very much an homage in many ways or a pastiche of the types of classic comics that I like, specifically like Silver Age Marvel. There's a lot of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and John Romita Spider-Man in this book.
Classic
superhero stuff. But nice. That's right, Susie. I made a comic book, and I know you don't know what it's like to make a comic book, but it's very difficult. Actually, it was pretty easy for me, if I do say so myself. But I'm the writer, not the artist. So, but yeah. So this book, we crowdfunded this. It was on Kickstarter, and yeah, I'm just glad we finally got it printed. We have copies up here in the store, so if you're curious,
I love this.
All
the ads in the middle.
So I did this like novelty thing in the comic book. We put ads in it because if you've been reading comics for a long time, you know that comic books used to contain ads, and that's what's neat about those facsimile reprints is that they reprint the ads.
Yeah.
And so, see, I don't have a lot of money to make a comic book, so one of the things that we did with funding it through Kickstarter was offer people the opportunity to put ads in the book. And so these are some of the people that, they paid a little extra to appear in the book. We have our very own Dan Gomez's, I almost said podcast Dan, I'm sorry, his stream, The Hero Brush Hour, and some other local business and comic book creators. And yeah, this was a really fun comic to make. I guess I should give you the real pitch is this issue features a dark, edgy anti-hero called the Sinister Saint. So like Duncan, he's the Stingray. He becomes a villain and he runs into different types of heroes. So like some heroes are really
that guy's a hero.
He's an anti-hero, like the Punisher or Spawn.
Yeah.
So in previous issues, this guy went up against like a Spider-Man type of a hero and an Iron Man type of a hero. And in this issue, he's going up against like a Punisher type of hero, who's a guy who doesn't pull his punches and he's willing to kill villains. Whereas, previously, you're going up against people that are trying to arrest you and put you in prison, and the Sinister Saint, he's just going to put you down. So yeah,
wow.
It was.
Yeah, he looks terrifying.
Yeah, that was kind of what we were going for, and so I had a lot of fun with it, and I hope everybody enjoys it. But
will you send my copy?
Of course I will. Of course I will.
Nice.
I mean, for an extra $5, I will.
Okay, well, we'll negotiate on that.
We can negotiate on that. All right, that's fine. Moving on, let's see. What do you got? What you want to talk about?
So
here?
This was a series that I read already, but the trade is coming out tomorrow. So it was written by Joanne Starr and art done by Carrie Randolph.
Yeah,
I believe I said that right.
I believe I talked about the first issue when it came out several months ago. Yeah, and it's pretty good. Did you read the whole thing?
Yes. So it's a little bit darker. It's about this girl. Oh, I want to say her name is Lyra. And it takes place in like New York City, but it's not the New York City we know because there's a lot of monsters and everything. So she finds out
color,
right? It's a lot of red and blue. So her power, she's a siren, and every time she uses it, you can see like there's water. Oh yeah, this is her friend who is also a siren. So lots of blue to showcase her power, and then it's kind of girls against guys because a lot of the girls are sirens, and then the guys, they're
just like real life.
Incubus,
incubus, yeah.
Multiple.
Succubus and incubus, so it'd be incubi for plural.
Okay, yeah. So that's what the guys are.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like a gang war, I guess you could say, between the two.
Green.
Yeah, I think that's the Rat King.
The Rat King, cool.
I don't really remember what his power is. It's been like months since I read that issue.
Yeah, this is a collected edition of these issues that came out months ago.
But it was done really well. It's fun to read, a little bit dark and gritty at times. But I like it a lot. The art is really good. Yeah, and so the main, I guess, premise of it is that her boyfriend was an incubi and she's a siren, and that's kind of never heard of because they're on opposite sides.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, and very much so. And
or if you've just seen the Unfrosted movie that's on Netflix, Kellogg and Post.
I'm sorry.
That's a very niche reference for very specific people.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Anyway, go on.
I forgot my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, done really well. Lots of monsters, lots of action fighting scenes. I think it starts out where I think she's a foster kid because she runs away and is just kind of homeless in New York City, wandering around,
Hmm.
meeting new people, hanging out with them. Um, she gets a lot of new best friends in this. But yeah, I like the pacing of it too. Always kept me interested. Lots
Hmm.
going on for each chapter, but at the same time, not rushed. So I
Yeah.
liked it.
No, I like this art a lot. I never read past the first issue. It was good. I have so much to read, you know. But I
Yeah,
really like the use of color in this. How it's like black and white and then a splash of one
yeah.
color. It's like it's effective, economical
Hmm.
storytelling. Like it works really well.
Right.
It's
See, this is the main like clash
yeah, yeah.
between the two groups. But yeah, we meet like vampires at some point too, and lots of crazy stuff. So if they come out with another trade, like another storyline in the future, I think it'd be really cool to meet new like characters that fall
Hmm.
under the other groups because we only meet them briefly.
Okay, so there's
Um,
like a lot more
like I'm guessing there's
that's
a lot of other
there's
monsters
a
in
lot of
this
stuff
universe.
that's like
Yeah.
mentioned but not really shown as part of the story.
Yeah, like one of the main characters, she's a vampire. She shows up every now and then and dips out, like side character.
Very
But yeah,
cool.
it's I recommend it. It's a good
Nice.
one.
Good. I got a few books from last week, you know, since we didn't do the stream last week. I got a few books to talk about just because, like, last week was such a huge week for me. It's actually really unfortunate that we didn't get to talk about some of the books.
Mhm.
One of the books I've been looking forward to the most is Deadpool Wolverine World War III.
Oh,
Now,
what?
I know, so I have a, I mean, just right, I gotta just like get this right up front. I have a love hate relationship with Deadpool. I have a lot of Deadpool comics. I've probably even given this spiel on our stream before.
Yeah.
I used to love Deadpool, and then at a certain point, I got really sick of the character because he's just so overdone, and there's like new Deadpool all over the place, and he's just he walks a fine line between being like really funny and being really annoying. And the reason I was excited for this comic though is that it's written by Joe Kelly, who is a Deadpool veteran writer. He wrote the first Deadpool ongoing series back in the '90s,
Oh
and
wow.
that's the series that made me fall in love with Deadpool. So this is an art, and this also is by I actually don't want to. It's Adam Kubert, one of the Kubert boys. I just mentioned Joe Kubert was the creator of the Sergeant Rock character. Well, he has several kids that are also comic book artists, and Adam Kubert is one of them. So he's a legacy artist,
Oh,
literally
okay.
a legacy artist.
I
But
mean, art looks amazing.
yeah,
So.
it's pretty good looking. I like the comedy in this is good. Like Joe Kelly is, like I said, Deadpool sometimes can be really annoying because just it's a comedy character, so a lot of writers can just indulge in their worst.
See, I feel so bad that
Influ-
you feel that way because I love the character.
oh,
All the
I
Deadpool
mean,
stuff.
so like I said, I some of my favorite comics are Deadpool comics. It's
Yeah.
just like I said, it's just like depending on the creator that's working on him. Like working on like a wacky, over the
Hmm.
top, lol, so random, lol, so random type of character can cause some writers to indulge in their worst impulses, as I was saying.
Yeah.
And so comedy is also just very subjective. Like what works for some people won't work for others.
I think a big reason is because Spider-Man is like my main guy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He can be very annoying at times. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that's why I'm like, yeah, no, Deadpool, he's great.
Yeah, exactly. But like Joe Kelly makes the comedy work really well for the character. I've always really liked it, and he's a good foil. Like Deadpool also works when you team him up with the super serious characters like Wolverine or Cable, like his classic
Mhm.
partner
Oh, is
Cable.
this a team up or
This
are they
is
fighting against each other?
so it starts off as a team up, and then spoiler alert: there's a fight between Deadpool and Wolverine because there's a thing that happens related to the plot. And I
Okay.
won't go into it too much, but there's like a plot set up for like these weird new superpower people that are showing up, and Deadpool has to kill them, and Wolverine is investigating it for superhero
Oh.
reasons. Oh yeah, I'm. You guys don't want to just look at my bandana. You want to look at the comic book pages. But yeah, so like again, it's a good looking book. Adam Kubert, he's a professional who knows what he's doing. It's cool Wolverine, funny Deadpool. Yeah, it's pretty much everything you want from a Wolverine Deadpool comic, and that's really all I can say about that.
Okay. I might have to pick it up because I'm collecting Deadpool stuff, not Wolverine, not X-Men. So I'm like, I was iffy about it.
I think if you just like Deadpool is such a uh, big personality. Like his character is such like a big presence in any book that he's in. Even a team up book where he's teaming up with Wolverine, if you like Deadpool, you're gonna enjoy the book because
Okay.
he's in it a significant amount.
Nice.
But yeah, moving on, another book from last week.
Oh, I liked this one.
Bear Pirate Viking Queen.
It's all the best things.
It's everything you need to know is in the title.
I was saying because I was like, this was probably written for my best friend because also on the first page, their favorite animals are bears and sharks.
Bears and sharks.
And this is the first page that you turn to.
This comic is like almost nothing but bears and sharks.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really, really good.
Pirates and Vikings. The art style is so beautiful.
So this art is beautiful. Is the only way to describe it. It's mostly watercolors.
Which I'm partial to.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the artist Bill Sienkiewicz, he's a veteran comic book artist. He's done a lot of stuff, like the New Mutants and Elektra. These are all comics back in the '80s. Celeste. So you remember
I have no
those?
Idea who you're listing
but
right now.
I mean, he still works. He does a lot of covers and stuff, and a lot of comics. He's Bill Sienkiewicz is a living legend in the industry. And this art, which I should say, this is drawn by Jonathan Marks Bacavecchia, or Baravecchia. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but it's definitely going for a Bill Sienkiewicz vibe, which works for me very, very much. I'm also getting like a little bit of Sam Keith, which not necessarily like in his figures. His figures definitely feel very Bill Sienkiewicz, but just I don't know the vibe of the comic. That's more like the storytelling is kind of reminding me of Sam Keith stuff. But yeah, it's just really good. It's kind of like
this guy that works for the Queen, and then he just decides to become a pirate. Just went off on a bender.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But the story itself is kind of surreal and dreamlike. It's like a dream journal
because the bear appears just in the middle of the ocean.
The bear is kind of like this metaphor for like I believe this is my interpretation of it. The bear is like this visual representation of something inside of him, like this monster that is a dangerous predator. And so he like talks about letting the bear out when he's violent. I took it very literal.
You took it literal,
like there's literally a bear on the boat.
Yeah.
Well, because there's I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much. Like one thing is like it's a long book. Yeah. Like this is like I think it's almost big 80 pages.
Yeah. But it's
only
still
$4.99. $5. Yeah. Like this is the best bang for your bear buck. Is going to be this book. So
it's a 3-issue series.
Yep. Yeah. So if you missed Bear Pirate Viking Queen, definitely check it out. I think
that was my pick for last week.
That was your pick. Okay, yeah. Well, that's a good one. It's probably my pick too. Hard to say because I don't remember everything. I don't know. That's a good pick though. What else do you got? You want to talk about?
Ooh, Christopher Chaos.
Yeah.
Another issue just came out. Issue 9. So I did not get around to reading this one today, but I have read all the others. Again, it's written for like high school, young adults. If you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend. It's a lot of fun, lots of like bright colors and characters too. So I really am enjoying it because it's all about like monsters. So our main character, he's kind of a take on Frankenstein. Like the scientist himself, like he's super smart and he brought like a pigeon back from the dead. You got a vampire character over here, a witch character over here. So that's right up my alley for things that I like to read. So I'm loving this series.
The way I described it was it feels like it's X-Men, but instead of superheroes, it's monsters, like movie monsters.
A bit like that.
So it definitely has that. It has that like old school X-Men vibe to just like teen drama, but with a weird like supernatural element to it.
Yeah. But I want to say I've talked about it before on the stream, so I don't want to go like super into it again.
But we definitely talked about it. It's something that you definitely recommend, though.
Yes, like that one.
Another book that's from last week. I just want to briefly mention Lester of the Lesser Gods. This is written by Eric Powell, who he does the comic The Goon. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. This one is not drawn by him, but this is a pretty silly, stupid comedy about like for D&D nerds. it's just like a fat.
Oh my god, I'm loving this.
Yeah. The art of this, it's not drawn by Eric Powell, but it's pretty good.
Like even all these little guys. Oh my god. Wait,
yeah.
Is this number 1?
This is number 1. Yeah, it came out last week.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
It's a ridiculous comedy about like a take on barbarians, but it's about a guy who's like, it's like a guy who plays D&D that goes into a D&D story, type of thing. It's like robots, cyborgs, wizards, monsters.
Wait, does he actually like go into this like an isekai?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, but so that's a funny comic. I like the cover a lot. Just wanted to briefly mention it. Another book that came out last week to briefly mention, Barbaric.
This one's free.
Yeah, this is a free book. That's the biggest reason we're mentioning it. Vault has been doing this cool thing where this year, like number 1 issues they're putting out for free. So they've done a few miniseries with Barbaric, but this is I think it's the 3rd or 4th, probably the 4th miniseries. But you know what? It's a free number 1 issue. They do a good job of kind of recapping everything up to that point. Fat Dragon always makes me laugh every time.
Yeah. I liked what's it called? The weapon.
The axe, the blood axe.
The blood axe. He's a funny character.
Yeah,
he's a funny guy.
The setup, like the premise of this, is pretty solid. It's like the main character is this violent barbarian who has been, I guess, no, he's not on the cover. I mean, he is. That's him as a kid, but the main character is this violent barbarian who is cursed to only do good, essentially. So he wants to just like kill people and plunder, but he can't. He's like physically incapable of killing somebody unless they're a bad person. And then he also has this magical cursed axe that is sentient and talks to him, and whenever it kills people, it gets drunk on their blood. So there's a lot of comedy that is played in this book. The art, I think, is what really sells it to me. Really, really good looking book. It's a fun premise. It's pretty silly. Like, it's not overtly silly the way that like the Lester of the Lesser Gods. Like, this is such an outright, almost like a Mel Brooksian comedy, whereas this is more like a modern day action comedy. If that makes any sense, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we still got a bunch of copies of the issue left. It's free, so if you're in the store and you feel like checking out kind of like a fun, super violent barbarian comic, definitely check out Barbaric number 1. Nice. All right, let's clip through some of the stuff that's normally in my pull because I don't want to talk about it too much. Transformers number 8 comes out. I am continuing to love this comic. Just so many characters show up. The new artist, Jorge Corona, is just killing it. I was a little worried, as I said last time, when Daniel Warren Johnson wasn't going to be drawing the book anymore. It's, switching an artist can be a tough thing, but man, I really almost like it more than Daniel Warren Johnson. Like, he's just really, like, he just captures the vibe and the style that DWJ had, and it just matches. He's still writing it, Daniel Warren Johnson. So yeah, just really, really cool. The story moves along at a quick pace, but it has like these nice little character moments. Like this whole page here is that's so cool, so nice.
Is that up there as one of your favorite comics?
This is one of my favorite recent comics. Absolutely, okay. Like Transformers, and I said this before, and I like say it all the time. I was a G.I. Joe kid, not a Transformers kid. I enjoyed. Like, I knew what Transformers was.
I was a My Little Pony kid. So
that's fine. I knew My Little Pony in the 80s, and I didn't get it because it was for girls. But apparently now the new My Little Pony is for boys, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think that was after my time.
I think they're called bronies.
Yeah. No, let's not go into that.
I know, that would have been so cool, Susie, if he had been C2E2. But these things happen. Another thing that's coming out tomorrow, related to Transformers number 8, is the Energon Universe special.
Oh,
now first of all, this is a cool cover by Daniel Warren Johnson. This is the exact issue that came out for Free Comic Book Day. So if you went somewhere for Free Comic Book Day and got the Energon Universe special, this is it. This is exactly the special. It has 3 short stories. One, Transformers. The Transformers one is really cool because it's drawn by Ryan Ottley, who is the artist on Invincible, and just looks really cool. And you get a little bit of a backstory of Megatron, like what happened with Megatron, because that's kind of been the big mystery of the series up to this point, both in the G.I. Joe comics and the Transformers, of like what's going on with Megatron. Why isn't he there? Starscream is leading the Decepticons, and
you're speaking in tongues.
Just
riddles.
Just read the comic, Celeste. It's so cool. But anyway, so this issue, the Energon Universe special, gives you a little glimpse into that, and then it has a Void Rivals short story, which Void Rivals is the series that's written by Robert Kirkman that ties into the Transformers comic and the new G.I. Joe issues. And as a spoiler alert, there's a Transformer in it. So I've been not talking about Void Rivals a whole lot because it's not exciting the way Transformers and the Duke and Cobra Commander series was. But if more Transformers show up in it, I might keep with it. We'll see. Wow. And then it also has a G.I. Joe story in here, which is also really cool. Just does a good job of setting up the next kind of phase of the G.I. Joe books.
Like all your favorite things.
It's all my favorite things. Now I got the Free Comic Book Day version of this book. So like just to reiterate, if you missed the Free Comic Book Day, you want to grab this because this is it. If you got the Free Comic Book Day book, the inside, it's exactly the same. They just have a new cover, and I have to admit the cover is pretty cool, but it is essentially the same book.
Okay.
All right. What do you got here, Celeste?
I got 3.
All right. Well, let's talk about The Last Mermaid.
Last Mermaid.
I know we talked about issue 2 when it came out.
Yes, because it had an axolotl on the cover.
It had a little animal creature that I thought was fake.
No, they're absolutely
real. Doesn't exist.
In the very back, it shows like the actual real animal.
Oh, they have like a picture of it. Oh my gosh,
they're real.
It looks fake.
Oh, it's so dark.
It's so dark. Yeah.
It's so dark.
Well, you'll just have to trust us that axolotls
it's a real animal. But I'm liking this one a lot because it's just an easy read, and it's got axolotls in it, and it's super cute. So it takes place like in a dystopian future, and this girl, she's a mermaid, hence the Last Mermaid title. But she's in this like mecha suit that has water in it, and the oxygen levels were getting low, so she had to find a body of water, which she did. And then there was this giant creature in the water, so she battled him, kind of lost.
Oh,
and then
no.
this person shows up. Wow, and saves the day. But
she's got legs.
Yeah. I think girl, but also not sure.
Oh,
At some point the helmet gets knocked off. Looks kind of like a girl, but I'm still not sure.
I love the premise of like a reverse deep sea diver of a mermaid in a land suit, so that they can travel around on land. Yeah. Like that's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this issue was when she was running away from the creature. The little axolotl can't really swim very fast.
Oh no!
So she takes him, and just like the whole time he's just
tucked in there.
He's just tucked in.
Aww.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see lighting wise.
Yeah, even this comic page, like
it's easier to see in person.
Yeah, it has like this comic, the printing on these books, like the color is really saturated, like so it looks really lush, but it's difficult to kind of pick up on the camera. But it's definitely very stylized. Yeah, it's a cool looking book. I haven't read it yet. I'm probably gonna pick up the trade paperback when that comes out because it looks really good, and I'd like to sit down and read it.
Me too. I have something a little bit against the bigger issues like this when it's single issues. I'd rather just pick up the trade. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for it to come out.
I have that a little bit too. That's another
just
reason.
A little bias.
Like if they just make a nice square hardcover book that'll sit comfortably on my shelf, that'll be good. Yeah. But yeah, definitely we're going to keep talking about it. Just keep your eyes and ears open for when that comes out. All right.
What next?
I have so many books here. This is ridiculous. Just like
Yeah, we're gonna knock through.
we're
Some
gonna
of
knock
your
through.
pile.
So another one, Shazam. I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep reading this book because Mark Waid's not writing it anymore.
Jeepers creepers.
But I am enjoying it still. They're doing a good job. It feels like kind of reading like a classic old comic book where they're just like teasing a lot of story developments.
Oh,
I
what
like
is that.
That's Talkie Tawny. That's Shazam's like friend and mentor. He's
Oh
a talking
my
tiger who
God.
wears a suit.
That okay.
Yeah, that's all. That's
First time I'm seeing him.
yeah, he's great. But I like that they're setting up this return of monsters. Like there's all these monster characters showing up because like one of the coolest and best villains in classic Shazam Captain Marvel comics is the Monster Society of Evil. And they're just monsters that want to like eat kids and take over the world.
Like monster, like I saw like those bats, like actual like monsters, or is it more like vampires?
It's like monster, like
I see,
like bat people. There's like crocodile people.
Wow.
Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. But they're also doing a good job of teasing something going on with the Captain or Shazam, where he's like arguing with himself in a mirror here, because like Shazam, the Shazam personality, the Captain's personality is taking over.
Oh,
and
no.
There's kind of this like split going on. They're teasing something dark might be happening. It's
all
pretty good.
That rabbit. Is that rabbit gonna turn evil?
No, the rabbit can talk though.
What?
So there is a talking rabbit, but only the little girl and Billy / Captain Marvel. I'm just gonna keep calling him Captain Marvel. That's his name. I'm sorry, Brie Larson, but you're not Captain Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah, the rabbit talks.
Oh my God, what does he say?
He says, "You keep the big cat away, I'll do anything you want." He's referring to Talkie Tawny, the big cat.
Oh my God.
Tigers eat rabbits, you know.
Even Tony?
Even Tony the tiger? Oh well, he eats Frosted Flakes. But
wait, what's that tiger's name?
Talkie Tawny.
Tawny.
Like TAWN Tawny. But he talks, so he's named Talkie.
Okay.
See, you get it? Yeah, I got a lot of hot takes, Susie, so you know that. Okay, we've got a couple of issues that released this week. Let's talk about what you got here, like while we're talking about cute animals.
Monster Cats. I love this one. Okay, so got a bunch of different. Ooh, if I can get to the table of contents. So these are all the different chapters, and it's like a monster mixed with a cat. So you got vampire, slime, dragon. If you want to flip through it, you're closer to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a little mummy.
A little mummy cat. Okay.
But it's cute because the beginning of each chapter, it has a small sort of description on what the cat is, and then it goes into it. And very much so, it's just in this world, like people just have monster cats.
Okay.
And they take them to the vet, and it's all seen as normal.
Are these the same creators that do that, like Society of Evil Cats or whatever that book is called?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I have not read that. But
it looks like it is.
You got Gargoyle. Cat. He just sits there all the time. One of my favorites was Slime Cat in the beginning. I think it's like chapter 2 or 3. Yeah.
Slime Cat.
Like, look, if it fits, I sits. He's
okay.
so cute.
Yeah. Just like a lot of cute cat stories, but as monsters. Yeah. That's good.
Super adorable. I highly suggest it.
Sphinx Cat. That's not a monster. That's just a real cat.
And.
Well, all cats are monsters. In fact, they're little devils, and they're constantly trying to.
Oh, there is a demon cat in here, and half of the time I'm like, "That's just normal."
That's just normal cat behavior. Yeah, exactly.
Nothing special. They have a giant cat where it's like it shows them as a little baby, and then they're as big as a house.
Like Clifford, the big red cat.
Yeah, it's adorable.
All right. One other book I want to talk about that comes out tomorrow. So let's get hyped for some new comics.
Yes.
Boy Wonder. I know our friend Abby is super excited for this because she has a little crush on Damian Wayne, and a little crush. It's very big. This comic is written and drawn by Juni Ba, who I'm only familiar with. He did a book at Image 1 or 2 years ago called Monkey Meat, and I thought it was really silly. I loved the art, but it was really bizarre. But this Boy Wonder comic, I don't know. I mean, just like speaking off the cuff here, might be my favorite comic that came out this week, or is releasing tomorrow, I should say. Really great. So first of all, he totally endeared me to his cause by opening his book with a quote from Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook, the late great Darwin Cook, R.I.P. He was a wonderful comic book artist who, another legend in the industry. He wrote and drew a lot of great comics, and a lot of stuff at DC, especially because he liked comics. He was really passionate about making them for kids so that they could be and enjoyed by everybody. And he had a really like clean cartoon style. And so Juni Ba is definitely drawing from that as an inspiration. So I really like opening with that quote from Darwin Cook. Just really like puts you in mind of like where he's going. And this is essentially just the story. He's telling a story of Damian Wayne. So he gives you the truncated version of the origin, just letting you know who he is. Because Damian Wayne is Batman's son, and so it's set up like it's kind of a fairy tale. Like he's telling this story about the king, which is Batman. I like that he never calls him Batman; he just calls him the king.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's set up like the king over his kingdom, and Gotham City is the kingdom.
Oh my god,
and
I love that.
The king has 3 adopted sons: Nightwing, Red Hood, and Tim, the third Robin. Tim Drake, thank you. and it kind of just gives you the Damian Wayne story, which is that Damian Wayne was bred by. So I mean, his parentage is that he's the son of Batman and Talia al Ghul. Talia al Ghul is Ra's al Ghul's daughter. So Ra's al Ghul, So Ra's al Ghul is Damian Wayne's grandfather, who is Batman's arch nemesis. And Ra's al Ghul leads the League of Assassins, and he trained Batman to take over he wanted Batman to lead the League of Assassins and with Talia, his daughter, and then they could be this like ultimate killing assassin force. But Batman is a hero and he has morals, so he's not going to do that. Well. And so he's a hero. Just trust me on this, Celeste. And so Damian kind of is this character that exists in both worlds, where he's been bred and trained by the League of Assassins and his mom, and he wants to please his mom and his grandpa, but he also is kind of like looking for a place in his dad's world. And so he's got these 3 older brother figures like Nightwing, and he's just constantly in their shadow, which he feels very bitter about because he's actually Batman's son, not his sidekick.
Poor fella.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, poor little feller.
That's so sad.
It's really, really, it's so just masterfully done. Like it's really, really good book.
I love the art style in there.
I mean,
the way it's drawn
we'll just show some more of this art. It's so good. Really good. I like that each issue is, thus far at least, looks like it's going to be focusing on one of the past Robins. So this issue, it sets it up, tells you Damian Wayne's story, and then it tells you Dick Grayson's story, and it's like Damian Wayne kind of interacting with Nightwing, who was the first Robin. Okay. And so the next issue, it's going to be Damian Wayne like interacting / teaming up with Jason Todd, who is the second Robin who was killed by the Joker, and then he came back, and now he's kind of like the edgy emo middle child. But yeah, really good book. That's my pick of the week. I have to say, it's just it's everything I want in a comic book. It's appropriate for kids, but it's like a really good story. It's just expertly told.
Nice.
Just really good. Highly recommend. You should read it. You will really like it.
Even if I don't read DC.
That's actually my favorite thing about it, is that you don't really need to be invested in like the Batman continuity. It's a book that exists outside of continuity. It's just like a really good story, and the way the presentation is like telling it as a fairy tale. So it's just like the images tell you what's going on, but it's very much just like a self-contained story.
Then I might have to pick it up.
I recommend it. I think you'll really like it.
Really good.
It is.
I just didn't want to be confused the whole time.
No, you won't be. It's like, again, the craft. It's like expertly done. Just really, really good. Another book coming out tomorrow that I think people will be excited for: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Black, White, and Green.
Wait, what?
Black, White, and Green.
Whoa.
So, like Marvel has been doing these Black, White, and Red books, and I think DC even did something like that too. So, they're doing it.
Color pop, it looks awesome.
It does. It works. Like it's kind of similar to the Sirens of the City book, where it's all in black and white except for one other color that kind of just is put on the page. This is an anthology series, so it has I think 3 different stories by different artists. Solid work, good, good stories. I like these anthology series because you get to see like a bunch of different types of stories, and they're also all self-contained, so you don't get stuck like trying to figure out continuity. I think the one that jumped out the most to me was art by Jesse Lonergan, sorry, written by Dave Baker. This second story, Jesse Lonergan is the artist on Man's Best series that we've been talking about and reading, which I really like. And so yeah, his Turtles comic, it's really good. It looks good. It's like really
Wait,
green.
Go back one. What is that?
That's a little like dinosaur character.
Invaders.
Yeah. The story is like Leonardo gets transported back in time to like a barbarian time, and
yeah. Is this the one with Paulina? I can't.
Are you reading the comic book on the stream?
No.
Oh, you're reading the. I'm sorry. You're reading Susie's comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, the artist. No, I don't believe so, Susie.
Okay.
Paulina. The dino. Yeah, exactly. The dino really said. That's great. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, this is good. I'm always like, I like anthologies, but sometimes I'm afraid to buy them because it's a mixed bag. You not know what you're gonna get. But I really like Jesse Lonergan's art, and that story alone is worth the cover price. So yeah, good comic. Turtles fans will like it a lot. Yeah, Turtles just having a lot of fun with that. Another issue, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Not going to talk about this one too much. It's the last issue. I'm afraid I don't even know if I want to flip through it, other than just like the art is great.
Spoilers. If you read this one, look away.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just going to show like a few pages. Just like we're coming to the conclusion. This is the conclusion. It's the final issue. The story. I'll just say it has a good ending. I liked this comic a lot. My final thoughts on it are I think the art really carries it. The story is really good, but I think the story starts out stronger than it ends. But the ending is good, and it's put over the top by the art. So all in all, I think it's a really good book, and I recommend. Nice. But yeah,
I always hate when you get to the very end and it's just a letdown. So it's good that it
it's not like it's not disappointing. I don't want to imply that, but like
all wrapped up.
Yeah,
no loose ends.
But it also, it's all wrapped up, no loose ends. Nice. But it leaves it open where if they wanted to do a second series, they could, and so I would not be opposed to that. Because I think it's a really good book. I recommend it. I'm sure you've been hearing us talk about it every week that it comes out, or every month that it comes out, and it's been very popular. Just again, the art alone just sells it. Like, it's just so beautiful.
Aaron really likes this book.
Yeah. He said it was like his favorite. I mean, just that art, the character designs, like it's just so good looking. But yeah, I really liked it.
Wow.
Another book that comes out. Let's talk about two more books really quick. This one, Ain't No Grave, #1. This is written by Scotty Young and art by Jorge Corona, who's the Transformers artist that I really like. This was a good comic. I am kind of curious to see where it goes. I'm gonna like reserve excitement for it until like the second issue. Feels like it was mostly just all set up and a lot of teasing of what's going to come in the future for this series.
I mean, it looks great.
Art is beautiful. Like,
I haven't read it yet, but I grabbed it because cowboys.
Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It's a weird Western, which is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a Western with like weird things in it. So there's
ghosts.
There's like there's like some ghosts here, but it's difficult to tell how much of that is that real ghosts or just her kind of like, is it a metaphor for things happening in her mind?
I take things literally.
I know
those
you do.
Are real ghosts.
We had that discussion earlier. Yeah, you do take things literally. But at the end of the issue, there's like some bigger stakes that are set up, and it's really cool. It's, if nothing else, it's just so good to look at. Like, it just really good looking book. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm curious to see where it goes. What else do you have here?
Last one. Monsters Are My Business.
Yeah.
So I think this might also be my pick of the week.
We talked about issue 1 when it came out.
Yeah, and I think it was my pick of the week when issue 1 came out, but I'm liking it a lot.
And you're still digging it, huh? I mean, look at that little panda fella.
Yeah.
Or, he's not a panda, he's a koala bear.
Koala. His name is Cuddles.
Cuddles
he's
the koala.
So sweet. He has a chainsaw. But yeah, so it left off on a bit of a cliffhanger. So he's, I guess, a bounty hunter of sorts, and so he goes on a job.
He's a monster hunter.
Yeah, and he goes on a job to help retrieve like this other team, and then everyone ends up being dead anyway. But he finds this monster that's not acting like a normal monster, and that's that weird. I think the best image.
Yeah.
Like to see the body of it.
Oh, that one there.
Yeah, so
Ooh, got,
it's like a snail horse, a bit of a crab thing going on. I don't really know. But this snail horse is Conscience. I think I'm having a stroke. Yeah, it's got a brain and thoughts of its own.
He's sentient, like he's a sentient character.
Yeah, so instead of just being like in the horde, it's a free thinker.
Okay.
And so they rescue this creature to be like, what is going on with this? And it goes off from there, and then let's see. So they rescued this monster from like a biker gang, and it's a biker gang full of a bunch of weird Mod Podge monsters, and so they kind of show up at the end. They're like, "Hey, we want our little monster.
We want
back.
Our little seahorse monster." Oh yeah, there's the horse face you can see.
Yeah, but it's really cool because it goes into like the guy that hired him to pick them up. He's like, "Oh, it's classified on why we need this monster," but they're trying to get answers on kind of why all these monsters appeared, because it used to be a normal world, and then all of a sudden,
monsters
these monsters started showing up and everything. So I guess he's trying to like save the world, but I still kind of see him as a bad guy. I don't. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good looking book. It's written by Cullen Bunn, who does a lot of horror stuff, but I like that he's going into like a horror comedy direction with this. Like it's definitely like a funnier, like Evil Dead type of book.
There's been a few moments that made me giggle for sure. Yeah, so I'm liking it.
All right,
loving it actually.
That's monsters are my business, and business is good. I believe that's you said that's your pick of the week.
Yes.
Well, that's a pretty good one. Okay. All right, I lied. I have one more book we're going to talk about.
This is a big book.
This is the collected hardcover edition of Dwellings comes out tomorrow. We're getting this in. This is a very cool book. I've been waiting on this one for a while. We did not get the single issues of it, but now there's this beautiful hardcover coming out from Oni, and I saved this for last because I know it's something that my wife would really love. This is a horror comic that is done in the style of classic Archie characters like Casper or Richie Rich.
They're so cute.
Yes, and so, but it's very much like an adult comic. Like it's not for kids, but I like that it has all these like fake ads in here to make it look like an old comic. And each issue it's like an anthology series, so each issue is a different story. Like right off the bat, boom, there's a guy getting murdered.
Oh my gosh.
And this first story is like there's these crows that follow around this kid to try and get him to murder people so that they can eat the dead bodies. And it's just like it's in this beautiful like juxtaposed.
I'm getting a little like Calvin and Hobbes with how short they are.
Yeah, like the characters all have that chibi squat vibe to them, and it's very much like the style of it is like this dark horror comic, but juxtaposed against this like cutesy kids comic art, kind of similar to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees that we talked about, where that's like a very, very dark and graphic story, but told with the kind of lush, beautiful children's art.
Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this comic, I'm just so glad we got a collected edition. It looks great, but the thing is like it's not just. I think it's more.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It gets that's pretty
gruesome.
Graphic. Yeah. But like it's really, really, really good storytelling is also the key. Like it's not just. I think it goes beyond just the gimmick of being like it's a dark horror comic, but told in the style of Casper or Wendy the Good Witch or whatever. Like it's actually really, really good, really well written. The stories are really engaging. They're like I said, they're really dark. Art is just beautiful. I love that it has all the fake like ads, like the
really
fake
all
dressing.
fake?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like fake ads and stuff, and
that's awesome.
the cover design is all very retro, like as you can see here, just like
Hmm.
it looks like an old Harvey comic or something like that. Really, really good. Yes, I knew you would love it. So I definitely am getting this. I've only read a couple of the issues worth in it, but it's just really awesome, and it's just a nice, beautiful hardcover. I think it's should be, if you like weird horror or like retro horror, like
Hmm.
retro Halloween style stuff, like definitely you want to check out Dwellings. All right, I think that's all we got for
Yeah, I
today.
mean, I got no more
Oof.
books.
Well, I talked about like almost 2 weeks worth of books. I didn't even
Yeah,
get to talk about all the stuff that came out from last week.
you're insane.
I know, I know, I
Wow.
know. I skipped over a huge chunk of it, but thank you everybody for tuning in and checking out the stream. You know, we love comic books here. Celeste, I'm really glad that you're like doing this stream with me. I
Yeah,
like talking
it's the
about comic
highlight of
books
my
with.
week.
Ah,
Yeah.
hanging out with me is the highlight of your week.
Well, I
Oh,
didn't say
that's
that much.
well, okay. It was implied.
Yeah.
But you know, thanks everybody for checking it out, and swing by Fantasy Books and Games to get some comics. You know, as Dan likes to say, there's comics out there for everybody. It's not all just like
Everybody.
superhero Batman stuff, although I do like a lot of superhero Batman stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can't get them here, get them from somewhere. And
Happy Tuesday.
happy Tuesday. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.